Start recording, which is good. We won't have as much stuff to cut out, and we'll go live. Now I gotta wait to see if the. All right, so we're live now, and I hate you, Facebook tips. I don't need you. Great.
How about Facebook's been having the balls to email me lately about advertising with them?
Yeah, I've gotten a few notifications on different pages. I don't know why they're trying to hit up. I mean, I would understand bigger pages, but like smaller pages to be able or to be sending the amount of, I want to say it's spam. You know what I mean? Because like I would get stuff at least every other day. Like, hey, promote your page by spending this amount of money. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I know. If I'm interested in doing that, I'll totally look into doing it.
Yeah, I'll ask you. I'll tell you.
All right, so there's no echo.
All right, so we're on. We're good to go.
Yep. Howdy,
Hey, everybody.
Bob. Hey,
Ha-
that's my name.
Happy holidays. Bob Chase.
Oh, check this out.
Happy New Year's, brother. What?
We were at this auto store the other day,
Yeah.
and
What is that mountain?
this doesn't say the full thing on it because they're really called Bob's Butt Wipes. So me and Bob have our own. But
RV
this is
and
the
boat
refillable.
friendly.
Yeah, this is the refillable pack.
Oh.
So it actually has like a little plastic box that hangs from there.
Plant-based flushable.
Yeah.
That's pretty kick-ass.
I wish I actually had the actual box that you put it in, because like I said, this is just the refill. But they're nice, and they were only like $1.25 or $1.50 because it was like this big blowout sale.
That's a highly affordable price
For
a clean backside.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
It's funny. I went to Dollar General and I got the. I have those. Those are great for the kids. Yes, they are awesome. I went to Dollar General and I picked up.
They didn't have those when I was in the army.
Oh yeah, no.
But we would take containers of baby wipes with us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby wipes are great, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why they just call them wipes,
Yeah.
not just for babies.
No, it's not just for babies anymore.
I went to Dollar General and I got some regular wet wipes, and the lady at the counter when she was ringing me up, she was like, "Oh, these are the unscented ones." I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, we actually have these in cucumber scent," and I was like, "Really?" I was like, "That would be way more." Convenient for me to use unscented wipes and have to shove the cucumber up there after, Now I don't have to do that. I just
to get the scent. Well, I've got a cucumber-shaped candle at home, so I really don't need the cucumber scent.
Seriously. I'll just take my unscented wipes. No one's going down there. I'm not even going down there,
I find it odd that you would need a scent for down there.
Yeah. Well, some people.
With
not
a
me.
baby, it makes sense because you're trying to kill the poop smell in the air.
Yeah, you got to try to.
So if you can mask it with a little bit of cucumber, or a little bit of lavender or something,
Yeah, I need some more manly. I need like cedar and like pine.
Cedar and pine scented.
Yeah, I don't want to walk around like a Bath and Body Works.
But then you got to get into like the whole like citrusy line too,
Oh yeah.
Banana mango scented butt wipes.
I know for a fact there's at least 3 scents.
Why just poo when you could poo a tropical island?
No, it's still poo. It's still poo. It's just.
Are we seriously talking about poop?
Well,
we've been away for so long.
It was the butt. Yeah, I guess we have to explain that. It was the butt wipes.
It was the butt wipe.
So when was the last time that we recorded or went live?
It was a few weeks before the holidays, because that thing's just started blowing up all over the place for both of us. Personally,
I want to think it was like the week before Thanksgiving, maybe.
Yeah, like I had obligations and shit that I had to back out of just because there was way too much other shit going on. It was just too much chaos. Plus, you got the new job and you were moving. There was a couple personal tragedies. And
literally everything from. I would say, all right. So like I had already told where I was working at the restaurant. I had already told them in September that. Around the holidays, I was leaving. They knew I was leaving. I spoke about this and stuff like that. And it was like mid-November. It was, I believe, the week before Thanksgiving we might have went live, or that might have been the week that we skipped,
Yeah.
and we were gonna do it the next week. And the Sunday before Thanksgiving is when Nick passed away.
Yeah.
Our old boss at the restaurant, one of the owners. And it was sudden, you know.
Yeah.
He was in Italy for 2 weeks, and he came back on a Friday. He landed on a Friday, and he went right to the hospital, and he had to have like an emergency surgery, and he passed away on Sunday. So it was literally, you know, out of the blue.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't find out about it. Now, I've known the guy since I was like 14.
Yeah.
He was like a dad figure to me.
Yeah.
I called him Papa Nick. That's why people at the restaurant call him Papa Nick, because I turned it a long time ago. I just call him Papa Nick.
Yeah.
And none of them called me. I had to go to a diner, and I'm sitting at the diner. Some girl comes up to me. She's like, "I'm sorry to hear about your dad."
Greentown,
Dad?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and, I was at the little dairy bar.
Yeah.
Backroads.
Yeah.
I love that place. I go there for breakfast all the time. And she comes up to me and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear about your dad." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You don't know?" And I'm like, "No." We're like, Papa Nick, he's like in the hospital. He's dying. I'm like, "What?" You know, like
it was weird how the news was coming across. Now it is a small town. You know what I mean? It was
good for me that it's a small town, or I would have
right.
never known.
Well, no, it's a Friday night when he lands and he goes in the hospital. I made it through that Friday, not knowing like, hey, is there another pizza guy watching the oven? Is there anything going on?
Yeah.
You know, is Nick coming back? I thought he was coming back for, you know, and they're like, oh, he's going to the hospital. I'm like, what? Yeah, he wasn't feeling good. All right, maybe he's sick. Go to work Saturday. Hey, you know, how's Nick doing? What's going on? Oh, he's having emergency surgery. Like, what? I thought he was just sick. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we're going to play it by ear. And then that's when you found out.
Yeah.
Was that Saturday. Because
Yeah.
I remember you showed up to the shop then.
Yeah.
And then that Sunday, regardless of what was happening, we were closing at 5. And I worked that day. Everybody who was at the shop, Petey and Jackie and all of them, they were at the hospital that Sunday, and I ran it with the kitchen crew. And Reverend Steve showed up, I think around like 4 for the last hour to make sure everything, you know, we closed. And then he passed away late that night, like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock that Sunday. So, like, it didn't even really hit me until, like, the following day. Because everything was running, on my end, everything was running normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I was just thinking that there might have been a complication with surgery and it's going to take a while to heal. I did not think for a minute that he wasn't going to pull through.
But when you think about Papa Nick and how, like, spry he was, even though we always complained about his back, this, that, the other thing.
Yeah.
He was still a spry guy.
Yeah, well, he was young, too, though. He was 66, I think. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
wasn't old.
You know, I met him when I was, like, 14, and he was, like, about 26 or so. So that's about 12 years or so older than me. So he's, like, 64.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Pete is my mom's age. 53 or 54, and there was like 11 years difference between them.
Yeah.
Just about. So yeah. And that's what I'm saying. He was young. He was young, and it all happened really quick. And
it didn't really hit me until the day after.
the
when I went
Monday.
to work.
Yep.
And my girlfriend was like, you know, why you're going to work? And I'm like, well, you know, if Nick was still alive and I was still working for him, he'd want me to go to work. So I was just going to work, but I had to leave early.
Yeah.
Because it kind of hit me in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I got really sad about it. And I was crying and stuff, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go home for a minute.
Because that night, my brother picked me up in Greentown. It was Sunday night. He picked me up, and I went and I worked with him that week. And I got the call that night when we were on our way back to Williamsport from Pete, and you know, it was weird, but I didn't really talk about it to my brother. And then Monday, like when we're working and stuff like that, we were closed obviously at the restaurant. They were closed for like I think 10 days.
Yeah.
And then they were gonna have the service, and then a few of the kids or Nick's stepkids or whatever, tested positive for COVID.
So of course the whole world has to stop.
Yeah, so literally
This is where I start to get angry.
Yeah, everybody had planned for that specific time.
And he had a whole hell of a lot more family and friends than just a couple of stepkids that were feeling ill. So to cancel that entire thing, I think was incredibly wrong.
Well, they said postponed it. They said it wasn't canceled, postponed. But
yeah,
still,
and then when they had it the second time, nobody told me.
Everybody had made their plans for that day that it was originally made.
Yes.
His sister came in from Italy and stuff like that. I mean,
my girlfriend took the day off.
Yeah,
she's like, I know you're gonna need me, so
I was ready. I was gonna be there and all that.
Yeah.
Which is weird because the day that was gonna happen originally is the day I lost my uncle. My uncle passed away tragically, very quick that day. So I knew they weren't having the service the day before. I think it was on a Saturday they were going to have the service. I found out Friday that they were pushing it back, and I'm like, okay, well, that kind of messes things up. I don't know what I'm going to do now. So then the next day, Saturday, after I got done working at the showroom, I was on my way back up here to do some packing and stuff. And that's when my mom told me what happened, and I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, dude. Like, between moving and trying to get things organized, and then everything happening at the restaurant, and Thanksgiving happened that Thursday, and then, I lost my uncle. So it was just a really weird time, a really weird month. Then you have Christmas coming up with the holiday, you know what I mean? So...
Well, and that's why we were gone for a while. Yeah. It wasn't just, typical holiday stuff. And I remember, and I wasn't telling anybody about your situation because you asked me not to, so I didn't. So I just, I had like personal engagements and stuff, and I was just like, look, no offense, but would you be offended if we just put this off until after the holidays, because hopefully everything settles down. And then we lose fucking Betty White.
Yeah, that was weird. My sister took a picture of People magazine that came out yesterday. Yeah. And it said Betty White turns 100. And my sister's like,
Well, that was... me and Beth went to the movies last night to see the new Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which is really, really good, by the way.
Yeah, I heard.
I really, really liked it.
I haven't seen it, but I heard.
But, in the beginning of it, like, when they play the trailers, a lot of people don't realize that they call them trailers. Even though they're at the beginning, you like to call them previews, but the technical term is trailers because they used to play at the end of the movies or in the middle of the movies.
Yeah, like intermission and
during
stuff
intermission.
Like that.
Yep. So we're watching the trailers, and they had this whole trailer about Betty White's 100th birthday, and she had just died the day before.
Really?
Yeah. And then people were like, "Well, do you think they're still going to do it?" And it's like, well, yeah, they're probably going to still do it because it's already filmed. Do you know what I mean? It's not like it was going to be like a live performance. It was going to be already filmed. So we're still probably going to get it. But it's so sad, man, that she was like this close.
Yeah, they'll release it posthumously or whatever.
Yeah.
I just find it odd that everybody was gearing up for it. You know what I mean? And then it just happened. So the National Enquirer and People magazine, so all those tabloids, when you go to the grocery store, they're all the cash registers and whatever. They all, at least 3 of them said Betty White turns 100. So it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Obviously, they'd written those weeks ago, not thinking, oh, nothing will happen to Betty White. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But dude, God bless her. You know what I mean? 99 years old, probably one of the longest careers in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, she's been around forever. Forever.
Yeah.
She outlasted all the Golden Girls.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, she didn't look like she was in poor health either.
No.
She did one of those roasts a few years ago on Comedy Central, so she probably would have been like 93, 94.
Yeah.
And, she was moving fine, walking around fine. You know what I mean? She didn't look like she was losing it, so...
Yeah. So then we lose Betty White.
Did they say how?
Natural causes.
Yeah, they're not going to say... Well, you know what? It's funny. I watched something on YouTube about, what morticians or, what they put... Yeah. And you'll never see it actually say natural causes. They'll always look, it was kidney failure. Which when you get older, when you get 100 and your kidneys fail, that's naturally going to happen.
Yeah, well, every car has a warranty end.
Yeah, yep.
Eventually the mechanics break down.
Something happens, yeah. You blow a gasket or whatever, yeah. That's weird.
So.
It's a weird time. And then
So pretty much 2021 could go fuck itself.
yeah, well,
I told Beth, they said we better pack the car up and be ready with our bug out bags because Betty White's gone.
I still think 2020 was worse than 2021. The initial phase of COVID and the initial panic and losing.
Well, that's what you say, but I say, I used to love the highways then. I could get to work so fast. I didn't have any other jackasses.
I mean, it was something to get used to for sure.
Yeah.
But, and it's weird because you would think it would be back to something somewhat being normal by now.
Well, see, now it's not going to be because they did an experiment. They stuck their toes in the pool, checked the water out, and they realized that they can intimidate people at an up-teen level. And they'll always be able to get people to buy into their shit. Hence how Biden got elected to begin with. And, you know what I mean? And now that they've got that kind of power, mark my words, and I think I said it a while back too, they're going to keep finding more and more ways to keep the control. Just like I said, they like to keep America high and in front of the TV.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah, they'll cut you a check. Yeah, they'll make marijuana legal. They'll do all that shit. Whatever it takes to get you complacent. Because the minute that you think for yourself, that's when you become a problem. So now, every 6 months, we're going to get a new fucking variant. We weren't even done talking about the newest variant. And we got Omicron.
Yeah.
So now 6 months from now,
Omicron,
we're gonna get Metacron, and then we're gonna need Optimus Prime
to
come down here to battle Metacron.
Omicron literally sounds like the name of an evil corporation in a RoboCop movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
No. Yeah.
I don't know who names them, but did you share it to your personal page?
I don't know. Did I? Wait, I gotta go.
If you guys are watching or tuning in, share this. We'll
Yeah.
try to get as many people in the conversation as possible and stuff like that.
Yes,
you know,
please do.
I was watching. Well, let me explain something. My new job is a normal type of job, whereas in the restaurant industries, we were going live like Monday or Tuesday night because that was the night that I can get off. I was always working weekends,
Right.
Always.
Now you're doing all kinds of manly shits.
And now, yeah, I'm an outdoorsman.
You're a goddamn lumberjack. Look, you even got the red and black plaid.
Yep.
I just realized that.
Yep.
You're all in, man.
I'm doing it, man.
Did you have pancakes for breakfast?
I do not. I can't eat breakfast. My brother, he's always like, let's go get breakfast. And I'm like, dude, I can't eat first thing in the morning. Because then I want to go back to bed. It's weird.
Yeah, well, yeah, because your body wants to digest. And it's like,
Yeah, and then like I used to stay up till 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
I can't do that shit anymore. I'm still getting used to that because I'm up at like 6:30 to make sure I get wood in the burners for 7. You know, in the wintertime, all of our buildings are heated with our incinerators outside, so we throw wood in there. And also, that's how we dry our wood with our big kiln is the heat. You know what I mean? So we always have to make sure that there's wood burning and stuff like that. But now, so I start early in the morning, and I usually get done, I like to say at like 5:30, but then I do like personal woodworking, and I do projects when I'm off of work.
So you're getting to play with the toys.
Yeah, so like
That's
I
cool.
work, and then I actually get to do stuff I enjoy
See,
the work though too.
You never
though.
had time for that in the restaurant. Well, I mean, you could a little bit, but it's not like you had time to be like, I'm going to seriously sit down and like come up with some new shit.
Well, the problem was at the restaurant is like you'll try to do something,
Yeah.
and something else always gets in the way,
Yeah.
and you're there 12 and a half hours,
Yeah.
and it's like when you get done with there, you don't want to be there for another hour or two
No.
working on stuff. You
Oh,
know what
no.
I mean? But like
You
at
want
the
to go home, have a bowl of cereal, and pass them out.
yeah, just get away
Yeah.
from there. But at the wood shop, I'll put like my phone or my iPad on Bluetooth, and I run it through a stereo. So like as I'm doing stuff, I'm listening to stuff, and I have to say it, and like it's no secret that as a person, neither one of us really like Donald Trump. Like
Right.
his politics and as president, he did a lot of good, and I stood behind a lot of the stuff he did. But
I liked him as a business manager and his business manager approach to America. What I didn't like was the way he talked, but in a certain extent, we got to be thankful for that too, because we weren't getting that professional lawyer, professional politician bullshit.
I wasn't worried about the PC stuff. That's
Yeah.
not. But I recently sat down and listened to a breakdown from a lawyer's perspective
Hmm.
of his phone call that was recorded with Georgia.
Yeah.
Have you like sat down and listened to that thing, dude?
No.
He literally sounds like a New York mob guy.
Yeah.
He's like, guys, listen, here's the thing. All I need to find
Yeah.
is 12,080 votes, 81
Yeah.
votes.
Yeah.
Not like, hey guys, we really need to recount. I think I won. He's like, I don't even need 13,000. I just need 12,081. I need one more vote. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, like, the backhanded stuff, he would be like, you know, tell the guy from Georgia, he's like, no, it's not like it'd look bad. I mean, it would look bad on you guys. I mean, you know, you guys would be breaking the law. Like, trying to do, like, this backwards kind of... And I'm just like, listen to this. I'm like, how? How has this man made it so far in business? Like, how do people not see through those tactics? And I think what it is when you're talking to someone who's, like, that powerful, that rich, that
Yeah.
successful.
It's intimidating.
Yeah.
And that's basically what it is. Look, his method works. I don't want to say his method works on simple-minded people,
Well,
but what it is when you take that method along with, you know, his status and how everybody knows him. Do you know what I'm saying? So all of a sudden, it's almost like that celebrity thing. Like you see a celebrity on TV or in a
Right.
movie, they look one way.
yeah.
And then when you see them in real life, it's like, whoa, they look way different.
Yeah.
Sometimes larger than life.
Yeah.
Same thing. So this larger than life persona walks into the office. Do you know what I mean? If you have the least little bit of doubt in anything that you're trying to sell to somebody, they're going to eat you alive.
And then what's even worse is when you get someone who is rich and powerful and famous
Yeah.
and is also very well spoken.
Yeah.
Because then
Yeah.
you can't see what the thing with Trump is, like, in the moment
Yeah.
it might be hard to argue, but like afterwards you go back and listen and it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like that was not correct, that was not right. But then you get someone who's like very well spoken and they're, you know, rich and famous as well. It's hard to not justify what they're saying. And I think this is a problem like with Mark Zuckerberg or even Elon Musk,
Yeah.
is that people hang on their words and they
Yeah.
are well spoken,
Yeah.
you know, to an extent. So people
You
follow
take
them.
you take a Donald Trump and you mix him with a JFK, and you got a guy who's going to take over the planet.
Yeah.
Somebody who can articulate and make you feel personally responsible
See, I think
for doing your part. JFK was a great speaker.
He was. I think JFK's biggest proponent against him was he did everything he could and used all the people he could to get in the office.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he got in the office, said, like, fuck those people.
Oh, you can't do that.
Yeah, because
Well, especially-
those people were the mafia.
Well, I was going to say, especially where his dad came from.
Yeah.
Because his dad, basically, that's what his dad did.
Yeah. Made deals. I mean...
Made drug deals with the mob until he got into politics, and then once he got into politics, but he already had his money at that time.
Yeah, and then Robert Kennedy, JFK's brother,
Yeah.
was made Attorney General,
Mm-hmm.
and literally the first thing he did was go after, like, the big mafia guys.
The same exact people that got him elected.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the whole Jimmy Hoffa thing
Yeah.
and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
Teamsters,
Yep.
unions. Yeah.
And I don't want to say, because there's so many conspiracy theories about what happened with JFK and Lee Harvey Oswald. And this and that.
I think two completely different separate people showed up to the same party. That's what I think happened with JFK.
Without even knowing about each other.
Without even knowing about
See,
each
that's
That's
hard. That's even harder to believe.
That's
Like,
my theory. And when the multiple shots in the different directions, I think somebody went pop. I think somebody else went pop. And the way as fast as the
like
rounds
they
came,
both noticed the opening that they had
that they
at
had
that time,
and they took it
yeah.
as simultaneous.
Which would mean both of them were military trained. We know about Lee Harvey Oswald's background.
Yeah.
But that means the mafia, they weren't hiring Slick Petey off the streets who
No.
uses a .38 snub. They went out and they got someone who, you know what I mean?
Listen, I was just watching a documentary earlier about World War II,
Yep.
and when we went to land in Sicily.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't understand that we let, what was it,
Lucky Luciano.
Lucky Luciano
And-
out of prison
Yep.
to help us organize that whole thing because they worked with the mob in Sicily to
Yep.
pull that off. And it's like I'm watching a documentary, and then they're like, yeah, this Don, came up and jumped up on one of the tanks, and that's just not normal. It's like, well, yeah, that Don's probably the guy who was responsible for
Well,
helping you pull off that fucking landing.
Italy and Sicily were both pretty much fed up with Mussolini's shit at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, because they had, at that point they had put in a whole other government.
Yeah.
And kind of like said to him, "Yeah, you're gonna go away. We're gonna put you in this room."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the rest of the world. Like Winston Churchill used to call Mussolini the soft underbelly of the Third Reich, and like so everyone knew that like Italy was the weak point between Japan and Germany and Italy.
Yeah.
You know, the Axis or whatever.
They didn't start out that way though.
No.
In the beginning, Hitler was admired Mussolini. Like he looked up to him, and he like took a lot of cues from Mussolini.
Yep.
And there wasn't a whole lot of German troops in Italy at the time because he figured the Italians could do it.
Could handle their own.
It wasn't until they got their ass spanked that he was like, okay, maybe the Italians can't fight.
Yeah, and like it was like the northern African border where you have like Egypt and all those.
Yeah.
When Italy was like trying to fend off from the south.
Yeah.
They weren't even worried about what was happening at the north because they're like, well, look, Germany has our back, and France is occupied by Germany, so like we don't even have to worry about that shit.
Yeah.
And they still focusing all of their effort south. They still fucking lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Which is weird because in World War I, Italy was on the winning side. So I don't know what the fuck changed in like 20 years that Italy could no longer be.
Well,
you know?
well, the real driving force behind all of that was socialism. So, socialism started popping up, and you know, pretty much countries all over the world were like, this socialism is really, really dangerous. But you had people that were embracing it, like Russia and stuff like that. So socialism was becoming a really popular thing, in both you know, Italy, Germany, a lot of the places, you know, that took a little bit of a beating.
Yeah.
And people were gravitating towards that, and they didn't like what was going on because they were also in a Great Depression. Like in Germany, it was fucking horrible because now a fifth of their entire GDP had to go to, you know, the Allies.
Oh, the amount of money Germany had to pay after World War One was almost physically impossible for them to pay.
And they already had record high unemployment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they had these socialists trying to sell them on the idea that, oh no, this is good, we could take care of you, and da-da-da-da. But the people really didn't want that. So then that's where the nationalists popped up. And that's how the Nazi Party became so popular.
And that's the thing. Hitler, I hate to say it, dude, but like, listen, after 8 years of Bush with like traditional Republican politics, and then 8 years of Obama where things were, you know, not as great as everyone thought they would be, even though they tried to build it up. Trump comes along, and I'm not comparing Trump to Hitler. I've told people when they like, oh, Trump's Hitler. I'm like, dude, Hitler killed 6 million people plus. But like
Hitler didn't package an idea and put it out there for sale. Hitler fucking sold that shit.
Yeah, you are,
and the people were behind him 100% with it.
You're minimalizing what Jewish people went through if you're saying Donald Trump is like Hitler.
Yeah, yeah.
But
which is why I want to smack people all the time when they call Trump a fascist, or they call far right people fascists. Just because some people are far right, do you know what I mean? That doesn't mean that they're fascists. Doesn't mean that they're fucking Nazis. They just like, you know. They really like their conservatism.
Yeah,
they believe in church on Sundays. You know, they believe in the traditional family values. Yada yada yada.
Oh yeah.
Just like somebody who's a far left liberal, you know,
is into what they believe.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
So basically, what Hitler had was a nation of people like that.
But I can see how Donald Trump got so much steam behind him in the time that he did.
Well, because people were fed up with that shit. Yeah.
Yep, and that was it. And that's how Hitler got, because they were fed up with that shit.
Because our deficit was huge.
Yeah.
We were getting hit monetarily.
Yep.
The healthcare
was a fucking mess.
Suddenly a family of four that was paying, you know, $200 to $300 a month for healthcare, all of a sudden now had to pay $800 to $1,200.
Everyone was told they can keep their plan if they like it, and that wasn't the case. Nobody got to keep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you took more money out of people that were already struggling. And then you expect them to fucking be like, oh yeah, you did a good job. No, fuck you. We want something new. We want something different. And what did we tell them if they were going to vote for Biden? That they would end up with the same fucking thing. And look at the mess we're in now.
Well, I mean, but that should have been that should have been obvious.
Yeah.
The vice president of
Yeah.
Barack Obama for 8 years was going to have similar outlooks on things than Obama. It's like, wow, who would have guessed? I mean, everyone would have guessed. That's literally.
But this is the problem with the uneducated voter. Rather than looking at how the country's doing, what the policies are, what policies are probably going to be put forth by this person, rather than doing that, they just all said, "We hate Trump."
And
Anybody
that's
but
it.
Trump.
Anybody but Trump.
And he was the best thing to happen to America in a very long fucking time. Since Reagan.
And you know what, though? But there's other people, and this is the whole problem with the whole two-party situation. It's like, if you really don't believe in standing behind Democrats or Republicans, but you choose what you think is the lesser of two evils, there are more options. And if more people got behind independent parties, they would get more steam, and people could realize they're a viable option.
Yeah.
But I think they feel like it's a wasted vote.
Well, it's at this point now. At the point now, the only option that you really have, because the Democrats and the Republicans are so deeply ingrained, so deeply entrenched in politics in America, until you find that rainbow unicorn situation where all of a sudden things level out and we've got like 8 to 10 parties.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to get the people that say, I'm going to vote for the lesser of two evils, just don't vote. If those are the only two choices you have, and you're only voting out of, well, they're the lesser of two evils, stay home.
Well, there was a lot of the Democrats in 2016 who honestly said that there's no way that Trump's going to beat Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
So I don't even need to go out. This is their excuse.
Yeah.
This is what they say why Trump won, is because, Democrats didn't turn out and vote because they didn't think Trump was going to win. And it's like, dude, he was the Republican candidate.
Yeah.
There was two people, Democrat, Republican,
Yeah.
for months before the election.
Mm-hmm.
You know every Republican who's going to go out and vote is going to go and vote Republican.
Yeah.
So what made you think that he didn't have a chance?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, that's also why they say Biden won this year. It's because they didn't want a repeat of 2016. So all the Democrats went out and made sure to vote so that shit wouldn't happen.
Yeah. And look at where we're at now.
Yeah. I mean, we knew gas prices were going to go up, and we knew inflation was going to happen. Yeah. And, Trump was saying this when he was running against Biden. Like
we were saying
2019.
And we were saying
2020,
it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, you just gotta ask people one question only. Are you truly better off now than when you were with Trump? Because you're not. Well, don't try to sell me on unity.
That's the thing.
Because that's not better either. Not when Whoopi Goldberg is sitting on The View calling Kyle Rittenhouse, a young man who just stood up for himself and protected himself, a Nazi. Straight up called him a Nazi, and no one's gonna hold that cunt accountable for that.
Listen, everyone's entitled to their view.
Yeah, but not on national TV, man.
Well, no, that's their platform. They do what they. But the calling anybody a Nazi that is not a Nazi diminishes what Jewish people went through.
Yes.
So Kyle Rittenhouse, who's never, by the way, the people that he killed were all white. So it wasn't.
Thank you.
It wasn't a race thing at all.
But they damn sure tried to twist it that way.
They did. They did.
Yep.
And then to call him a Nazi, which right
down to Gerardo Rivera, was when I think of Kyle Rittenhouse out there, and he's throwing the white power sign. He's throwing the white power sign out there.
I don't even know where that came from.
And no, it was on the 5.
Right.
The 5. And he's throwing the white supremacy sign out there, and Waters couldn't take it anymore. He's like, Revolter. He's like, are you freaking retarded? He's like, that is not the white supremacy sign.
But see,
it just means okay.
Online, they attached that.
Yeah, so, but this is what we're always arguing about, is the fact that people attach things to these things that aren't the fucking definition, but somehow.
But once it's attached, it's hard to separate now.
Yeah.
So just like the OK Brandon thing or Let's Go Brandon thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was tied to what was thought to be said or this or that, whatever.
Yeah.
And now everybody will always associate that with, fuck Joe Biden.
Fuck Joe Biden, yeah.
So once the internet gets a hold of something and they turn it into what they want,
yeah,
that's it. That's
oh,
how
yeah,
it's
no.
remembered. That's how it is, and it sucks.
Yeah.
You know, because like, all right, so let's just say, you know,
But it's only further evidence of what you and I talk about all the time, that how programmable people are these days.
oh yeah,
There's people that you know, they despite the news and the we've talked about the prejudices in news, and you know that this group's always going to favor this and this group's always going to favor that,
yeah,
and that's just the way it is. But now, you know, so people get away from that, and they're like, okay, well, what do we do now? Okay, well, let's just use the internet to twist their minds to the way that we want them to think, and people fall for it all the time.
yeah. The internet, it's a weird place because, like, on one hand, we wouldn't be where we are today without I won't even say the internet. Social media is what did it. Internet, when it was just about finding and transferring knowledge and this and
Yeah.
that, you know what I mean? That was not what I'm talking about, but social media platforms.
Yeah.
Giving people the platform who would never in a million years be any sort of celebrity.
Yeah.
Then they become famous for a video. Maybe, I don't know, they fell off a porch and landed in a pool of pudding. And now they
Yeah.
got 10 million viewers.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, their view matters. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, what does pool pudding guy think about it?
What
Like,
did the pudding guy say?
what the fuck does it matter?
Yeah.
Why? Because everyone knows who he is?
Yeah.
It doesn't make...
Could you imagine
Oh.
if Charles Manson had access to this kind of internet?
Oh, Charles Manson would have run amok in today's day and age.
I think about David Bowie. David Bowie in an interview once said, with the internet, he said it's going to be the greatest thing and the worst thing ever happened to mankind. David Bowie, of all people.
Yeah.
And he
I
was
could see
100% right. You know, as far as like, you know, obtaining knowledge and maybe learning about stuff that you haven't learned, or you know nothing about.
Yeah.
It's great, you know, but he was kind of, before the social media part of it even took off, was kind of already predicting how social media was going to be the downfall of it.
Yeah, well, and to be fair, the beginnings of social media and how it started and stuff like that was to keep other people interacting,
Yeah.
which would have been harder either by telephone call or snail mail. And if that's all it ever was a way to communicate with people,
Yeah.
I would 100% think it was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it morphed into... All right, so have you heard or listened to anything about the metaverse that Facebook is moving towards?
Yeah.
So, I think that this is 100% dangerous.
Yeah.
Because now, all right, so say we want to go to a concert, and we
Yeah.
go to a concert and we have a good time. With regular social media, now we would maybe post pictures. Hey, going to this concert, and we post a picture, having a good time, and you know people could see that, interact with whatever. Well, like the metaverse is literally going to be like this 3D universe. So there's going to be, let's say, an online concert,
Yeah.
and everyone can sign in, and you have this little like avatar or whatever, and now it's like you're seen at this concert. It's gonna be a way for people to go out and interact with people without ever having to leave.
Yeah.
And we know what social media has done to people who would normally never say anything, you know, cross to anybody,
Right.
but then they get behind a keyboard and they get tough and they get...
Yeah.
I just think it's gonna blow things out of proportion even more so than what they are now.
Well, it's like that movie. Did you see the movie Ready Player One?
I know, I haven't seen it, but I know the movie. I know what it is.
Well, basically, that's the whole concept. Is this guy creates this you know, this virtual reality world, and you could play games in it. You could be somebody else in it. You could meet in dance clubs. You could do
Mhm.
whatever.
Yep.
And the reality, when you come out of that virtual reality, is these people are living in trailers stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
you know, like ghettos.
Yep.
And so their lives are so fucking miserable that the only thing that they have
Is
is
that
to
false
go
reality.
into that false reality.
Now, I would not complain if you hit 80 years old,
Yeah.
85, 90 years old,
Yeah.
and you don't have much left,
Yeah.
but then you sign in to this thing, and you're 20 again,
Yeah.
and you're out there and you're having fun, and even
Yeah.
if it's a fake reality,
Yeah.
you can't get hurt, you can't die, nothing bad, but then in real life, you're hooked up to a machine that feeds you 3 times a day, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
If you're that old and you're not living life and you want to do that, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're young enough that you can enjoy actual life, you need to be out there enjoying life.
producing something.
Yeah.
But this is exactly what, I just see it as just another tool of the government's probably sitting back looking at this, and they're probably like, I don't even know if we want to regulate this because this could have a lot of
It's funny that the government gave Mark Zuckerberg so much shit,
Yeah.
and then wants to work with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, you're invading people's privacy, and how you're selling this information, and you're propagating certain information that you stand with, and not being fair to others, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then they turn around, and they're like, well, this thing can be a lot safer for people, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, you guys know this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know what he did with the first thing that he had,
you know what he's
you're gonna give him
capable
even
of.
more control. It's I don't know.
That's so weird.
But it's exactly like I said. It tends to be more of a pacifier for free think and for the freedom of think. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And it's not like they're taking it in an aggressive, in your face kind of way. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, it's very subtle.
They're taking tiny little crumbs constantly, and it's the old frog in a pot of water scenario. I put him in cold water, put him on the stove, turn up the heat. Slowly he boils to death, and he doesn't complain about it.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing to us, and that's what this whole metaverse shit is going to be. It's just another way. Now think about it. I mean, look at all the distractions that people are now going to have from going outside.
Yep.
They can sit in their metaverse, be whoever they want, whenever they want. They can do their pot. They don't have to work if they don't want to.
And people have had this already for a long time with video games.
Yeah.
Like online, people who play World of Warcraft and EverQuest and
Yeah.
all those massive MMORPGs.
Yeah.
There's a guy out there, he's in his 50s,
Yeah.
and, that's all he does. But he's like, oh, but in this world, I'm married, and I have kids, and I've been with the same person for 10 years, and we talk about everything. But, like, in reality, it's like you never met that person, you never met any of these people.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, this is what makes me happy. And that's the pacification.
Yeah.
Convincing people that is what makes them happy. You know
Well,
what I mean?
that's how you know when someone's too far gone.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just think of the baseline psychology of that. If you're, bottom tier of internal needs and wants, food, shelter,
Right.
and communication and love, are coming from a computer system, you got fucking problems. You've got some kind of dissociative disorder where you're too intimidated by the public to go out. And I understand it. I understand the sickness, and it can be worked through. But this
It's
all
easy,
feels like a control mechanism that's just going to be, the tip of the iceberg.
It's easy for them.
Yeah.
It's easy that you just sign into a computer, and no matter what you do, you're not going to have any repercussions.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like, it sucks because a lot of the younger generation, like, all right, so people that are older than me,
that's
gave us
who's really going to fall for it, because with all this masking shit and all that stuff in schools,
being told to stay
we're
home
already teaching kids to be more submissive than they were before. So how are they going to cope when they're adults? They're going to always be waiting for someone to give them guidance
and it's funny,
as to how they're supposed to act.
And it's funny because when a kid does backlash, when he does, freak out or he does talk back, they say that he has behavioral issues.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, a kid doesn't agree with something,
Yeah.
and he'll mouth off and he'll say something,
Yeah.
and then he'll get put in a special school because he had behavioral issues.
And he'll get put on medication.
Yeah.
And then they'll label it a disability.
Yep.
And then
Convince him that he can't do any better.
that he can't do any better. And then what happens? You get a complacent 26-year-old on medication collecting SSI who's going to do nothing but sit at home and play in your little metaverse.
Yeah, so it's like
you have total control over it.
If you're not complacent, we'll make you complacent.
Exactly.
And we'll do it slowly, and we'll make you think you're the problem.
Yes, and people don't see it. And it actually started with things like credit. You want to keep up with the Joneses? Here's a way to do it. Just spend money that you don't have.
That was a lot of ad
to get what
agencies.
you need. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this is how they've always done it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
you know what though? It's funny because like if you go back to the World War II.
Yeah.
Americans gave up a lot.
Yeah.
All these metal companies, And they're like, all right, so you know the whole thing about steel pennies, right?
Yeah.
We needed precious metals for the war, so
Yeah.
for a few years we had steel pennies. People hated them because they got confused with dimes and nickels and shit like that, so they
Yeah.
went back, whatever. But Americans, and especially companies, they stopped producing stuff for like a couple years
Yeah.
because they needed to produce for the
Bombers,
war. Yeah.
tanks, yeah.
And Americans knew that their work was going towards that,
Yeah.
and they might have not been getting paid as much, or they were getting stocks or bonds. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, listen, when all this is said and done, you'll be reimbursed.
Yeah.
Nowadays, people wouldn't fly for that.
No.
They're like, no, I want to get paid now.
Yeah, no, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just this
They did
weird
a lot
mentality.
of. They had victory gardens back then.
Oh yeah.
And I've seen ads where they were like, keeping 2 chickens will keep 2 grown adults and eggs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like get like even in Scranton, still has a blue law that states that every house can have 2 chickens per family member.
Right.
So if you have four
People in
family,
your house, you can have 8 chickens,
have 8
just
chickens.
to produce.
eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you won't see that kind of stuff happen anymore.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, they're going to vary that stuff. They don't want, tons of chickens rolling around and shit like that, but...
Well, not just that, but it breeds independence. I mean, they're trying to figure out ways to take control of our water and everything else now.
But I'll tell you this. All right, so I lived in Greentown for the last 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Now I live right outside Hazleton, a little town called McAdoo.
Mm.
No, it's quiet, you know what I mean? And then during the week when I work, I stay in Williamsport. I am now 10 minutes away from a Walmart. Living up here,
Yeah.
there's a grocery store 5 minutes away, but other than that, you had to drive at least 28 to 30 minutes
Yeah.
in any direction to get to any kind of civilization or any kind, you know what I mean?
I like that though.
Well, here's what I'm learning,
Yeah.
because when I'm home on the weekends, it's like if I need to if I think I need anything. Not I need anything. If I think I need anything, it's like, well, I could be at Walmart in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Or in Williamsport, it's like, well, I could be downtown in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's I see people who move to the city and they never get a driver's license.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that. They never own a car.
Yep.
Well, A, probably 'cause they can't afford it because living in the city is so fucking expensive.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh, everything I ever need is right here.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what happened, though, if that shit collapses? Like, what happens if you have a rolling blackout and the
forget
city
about it.
has no power for a week?
You're not gonna be able to get out.
What do you do? Public transportation won't be a thing.
No.
Yeah, okay, they're gas powered and they might be able to have gas, but where the fuck are you gonna go? If nothing has power,
Yeah.
you can't go to the store, you can't get milk, you can't get your basic necessities. Like,
Well, that's everybody that lives in these big cities, man. I don't think they realize. But here's the funny thing is they're the biggest polluters
yeah,
and impactors on the planet.
Yep.
Yet they are also the biggest preachers.
well, it's the liberals.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, it's funny
Well,
how
because
many
they are-
liberals live in cities,
Yeah.
and that's their
And everything that they preach about, every single thing they preach about, they live the exact opposite way.
Yup.
Just living in a city.
Oh yeah.
And then you come up here, and here I am. I'm middle of the road, but
Yep.
I tend to lean more conservative.
Right.
I live in the
Oh
woods.
yeah. No.
I live on the top of the woods. I got a well.
Yeah, not you're not middle of the road. Hold on. you're driving on the right for sure. But there's a difference between.
I hear the rumple strips once in a while.
Yeah.
I'll admit.
But there's different forms of the left and the right,
Yeah.
which is like I don't know what the left's version of libertarian is, because I do consider libertarian conservative, somewhat conservative, not quite Republican, because you know what I mean, big
Yeah.
government, whatever. But like, what is the left's equivalent to level-headed? Being on the right. Does the left have?
I don't know. You can't. Honestly, out of all honesty, you cannot clearly define it anymore. Because they have a different thing to bitch about every day. Every day.
See,
Like I was
yeah.
watching that the Rachel Divide on Netflix, which is about that Rachel Dolezal or whatever. That was the head of the NAACP in Spokane, Washington.
Okay.
And it turns out she was white. She wasn't black.
Oh yeah.
But she was telling everybody that she was black.
The one with the curly hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean I'm watching her and I'm watching her, you know, in
Happy New Year, buddy.
who's
Your brother.
oh hey, Happy New Year, brother Les. And I'm watching her in a protest, and the three things she's connecting in her thing is what was she saying? She was like, no Trump, no KKK, fascist something's got to go away, and I'm thinking to myself, this identifies the perfect persona, the imperfect person preaching about somebody else's imperfections, and attaching a political statement to it in order to further their agenda to bring down traditional American conservatism. And that's what it's all about. And so a libertarian is middle of the road. We don't like a lot of government.
Right.
We really don't like all this politics shit. You're never going to sell us a national health care and stuff like that because it's too expensive and it doesn't make sense for a country like America. It's
Right.
too big.
But
It's
also,
too
it's like small community being able to take care of each other and take care of our own town and take,
Correct.
you know what I mean?
Correct. Like a libertarian would be more apt to take shit and donate it to a local church because then it knows that the local people are getting it. Everybody,
Right.
If everybody focused on their own local areas like they did back in the 20s before we had all these social programs,
Right.
we would be able to pull off the same shit that we pull off now, if not better.
Which is weird because now with the advent of cable
Yeah.
and internet, social media, news travels so fast. So,
Yeah.
you know, just a few weeks ago, you had those real bad tornadoes that hit like Kansas and stuff like that. And I myself, I can be like, oh, you know what? I can maybe send them $50, $100, Red Cross or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm putting my money out of this area for someone that needs it, but
Yeah.
it's still, you know, that community is the one who has to rebuild it. Don't
Yeah.
have FEMA come in there
Right.
and set up their trailers just like Katrina
Yeah.
and not get shit done
Yeah.
and then use it for a political purpose.
Exactly.
That, you know what I mean?
Well, I think, you know, that could be another positive, Rob. What you're bringing up there could just be another positive of the internet used in a more modern way. Why have all these social programs? Why have us pay taxes to support all these social programs when everybody knows that everything in government is so full of bureaucracy? Hence the term, the bureaucracy is expanding to meet the needs of the ever-expanding bureaucracy.
Right.
You know, rather than dealing with that red tape and that tongue-twisting type of legal paperwork to get anything done, blow that shit out,
And just do
give
it.
us back our fucking money,
Yeah.
and let us use the internet to help each other out community-wise.
Dude, I mean, I've seen GoFundMe sites. People have a fire and
Yeah.
they lose everything in their home. And
Mhm.
they're asking like $5,000. Hey, we just need to get into a place and pick up a few.
Yeah.
And like it gets shared and shared, and all of a sudden that $5,000 goal, they
Yeah.
get 50 grand.
Yeah.
Where if
Yeah.
they were asking for the government for any kind of assistance, they'd be on their ass for at least 3 months before they got anything.
Yeah.
And then they would probably get partial payments, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't even be for the full amount. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just, or dealing with an insurance company.
Yeah,
it's like,
same
hey,
thing, yeah.
we have insurance, and then the insurance is like, okay, well your deductible's 5,000.
Well, that's
It's
always
like, you know.
insurance companies have always irked me because, God forbid, your insurance payment isn't made every single month at the same time. They'll drop you.
Yeah.
But if you get in an accident and you need them, they'll stretch that fucking thing out 6 months.
Oh yeah.
And you mean to tell me that's not illegal? See, there's a lot of things in this country that should be marked as illegal that isn't.
But they'll put it in a contract and be like, well, if you didn't read
Exactly.
the contract, you signed it. It's not
Yeah.
our fault. You
Well,
know
it's
what
your
I mean?
fault. And yeah, lawyers are lawyers make all this shit happen. This is what's wrong with America, the legal system.
It's funny. There's a guy on YouTube. I think he's American, but he does a real good German accent, and he plays a character that's from Germany and America.
Yeah.
And like the one thing is like he'll talk about he goes to a restaurant, and you know, they'll leave gratuity on the bill.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, what's this gratuity?" And he's like, "Oh, well, that's for a tip for us to." He's like, "Yeah, but like if you do a good job, like you should be getting paid." And they're like, "Well, our salary works on this. Like we're supposed to work for that."
Yeah.
He's like, "You mean to tell me that this Olive Garden expects you to live on a wage of $3 an hour and hopefully the kindness and generosity of other people and blah blah blah?"
Well, yeah, that's
He's
how it's
like,
always been.
He's like, "Well, not just this Olive Garden, like every business, like
Yeah.
not, you know what I mean?"
Yeah.
And like, it's like, listen, I understand the industry because I know people who make great money as a server, especially if they're good at their job.
Mm-hmm.
But then he did the one about healthcare, and in his eyes, he's like, "So, okay, I come into this ER. I was sick, but there's nothing wrong with me. I have no broken bones. I have nothing. You guys didn't give me any medicine.
Right.
I didn't get an X-ray, nothing like that. and my bill's $10,000.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, well, your insurance will cover it. He's like, well, what if I didn't have insurance?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we would, give you enough time to pay for it until you couldn't pay for it. And then we'd send it over to a collection agency,
Yeah.
and then you'd have to pay them.
Yeah.
And he's just like astounded that, he's like, oh, well, where we're at, we don't have to worry about that. We have free health care and stuff. But what they fail to tell you is nothing is free.
No.
Every one of those countries that have free health care,
Yes.
you're paying a lot of taxes. Like your paycheck, if it's $1,000 a week,
Yeah.
you're probably getting about $500 to $550
Yeah.
back. Like that's what your actual
Yeah.
pay is. They're taxing at least 40 to 45%.
Yeah.
And then they're going to programs that you may never need or use.
Yeah. And this is why people don't understand why. Another reason why universal healthcare wouldn't work in America, because basically what you're asking to do is ask a type of culture that celebrates individuality and achievement,
Yeah.
and go for yours. You have the freedom to get to any level that you want to. You're asking that same group to then turn around and take 30, 40, God forbid, 50%.
Up to 50%.
Which I know is going to happen, and give it to people that don't want to. And why should we have to do that? They're not our response. I didn't have that. You ain't my kid. I don't fucking know you. Now, maybe you're a friend of mine or something like that, and I have a personal interest vested in you. You need something, I'll help you out.
But see, I can see this being the start. All right, so we've already
This is
seen,
how socialism starts.
We've
right
already
here.
seen inflation happening. I'm sure every one of you
At its
has,
highest level now
yeah,
in history.
I'm sure every one of you has bought gas recently.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing it at the pumps, but not just there. Any smokers out there notice that cigarettes have gone up $1 in the last year.
Yeah.
Different brands, you know what I mean? Go to Walmart and check out the prices. Things that used to be $3 are now $3.59.
Yeah.
And like these little price differences, it's like, oh well, 50 cents here. Well, at the end of the week, all that adds up.
Yeah.
All right, so they're like, yeah, well, inflation's going to happen because the wages are going up. Companies are paying more now because that's what it takes to get workers to come in.
Isn't that exactly what we said would happen?
Right, and this is literally, all of this was called before Biden was ever in.
Yeah.
So what they're going to do is like, okay, well, if companies are already paying more, we'll just raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, even though inflation's already started.
Yeah.
So what they're going to do then is raise to $15 an hour.
Yeah.
Inflation's going to happen, so you're not going to be making much. But then they're going to say, oh, well, now you're working and you're making more money, so we can tax you more.
Yeah.
Because we need these programs. So now you're going to be making less
Yeah.
at the end of it because they're taxing more.
Yeah.
Even though your wages are more, they're going to
Yeah.
take more away.
Yeah.
But the cost of things are still going to go higher.
And-
you're
and-
going to
and
end
the
up
big
being
problem-
broke.
And the big problem with that is all these young liberals that are out there screaming for all this shit don't remember the fucking Jimmy Carter years. I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I remember how shit was. I remember the fucking astronomical fucking gas lines and shit like that.
I
Like
mean,
that really happened in America.
One of the reasons, if you remember all the cars in the 50s and 60s, they were all big, massive cars with big engines.
Yeah.
The reason that a lot of Asian car companies and European car companies came to America,
That's when Honda got popular.
Honda, Toyota, Volkswagen,
Yeah.
Yugo,
Yeah.
all these small cars
Yeah.
broke into the American market because they were cheap on gas.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, that's all it was.
Yeah.
And then the 80s came, and we started rebuilding the economy, and we started putting money aside and shit like that.
Thanks to St. Reagan.
Yeah, Reagan was doing it. And then even a little bit after George Bush Sr. from 88 to 92, he was pretty much just piggybacking off of what Reagan did.
Yeah.
And then the 90s happened. Clinton comes in, and things are starting out okay, like not terrible. And then, like, NAFTA.
Yeah.
It seemed like NAFTA was like the beginning of the end.
I gotta tell you too, though, the Clinton years were the worst time to be in the military too,
Really?
because we were still being deployed everywhere, but we were no longer had any choice in it. It was like the first time you saw American soldiers being under the command of foreign generals. So like the whole Bosnia operation, that was all run by NATO. Whereas in the past, it would have been like, okay, that's good for NATO, but this is how my American troops are gonna
Right.
proceed with this. Somalia, same thing. Those messes all happened under Clintons
Right.
because of that aspect. Because of the aspect that control was taken away from. That's why when Bush came around,
I want to say, but then when Bush Jr. came
when Bush came around, and again too with Trump, when they both kind of gave the ability to make those decisions to the generals,
right.
and that's when the military was good again.
Well, we also had a massive conflict when Bush Jr. came into office.
Yeah.
9/11 happened, and then between Iraq, Afghanistan, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we, our military presence was a lot bigger out there.
Yeah.
And there was people in 2005 and 2006 in Bush's second term that were starting to say, why are we still out here?
Yeah.
Or they're saying, why did you declare victory without a plan of us? Like, we're still here. We're still fighting. Why? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was still a little bit of apprehension in those years. But, yeah, like the 80s was probably the strongest time in the last, 60 years where America was on a good up track. But then again, not everything's perfect. And obviously, you know what I mean? AIDS and the crack epidemic. I mean, I would say things right now. All right, yeah, obviously COVID isn't AIDS. But between COVID and fentanyl overdoses compared to the AIDS and the crack and the AIDS, I mean, things are just as bad as they were then.
I'll do you one further. Even with remembering the Jimmy Carter years, the days now, not on a personal point, because at the end of the day, I have a federal job.
Right.
And I like what I do. I work with vets, and I get to help vets, and that's my real reason for doing it.
Right.
But with that, other than that part, if you take that part out and just observe it on the whole, these are the worst times for America that I can remember. Personally, myself, in my life.
I mean, break it down into economy, and break it down into unity. And there's got to be a third. But if you look at the three major things,
unity. I see unity as the worst in that it's not being perpetuated anymore by Jim Crow laws, and by treating people of color less and making them drink in different water fountains and go in different doors. But it's actually being spun by the same people that it affects.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
The tension's there. Even if there's not, and I don't want to say there's not a reason for it.
No.
Yes, police brutality is still a thing.
Yeah,
there are bad cops out there.
Yes,
There's always been bad cops.
yes. But there's white guys getting beat up a lot more than black guys.
I mean, well, they're the majority. It's gonna happen.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So when you take it and you focus on every single time it happens to an African American citizen, as opposed to focusing on every time it happens to an African American citizen, Chinese American citizen, white American citizen. Do you know when you're more concerned about the narrative,
right?
And your group is more concerned about the narrative, you're perpetuating hate,
right?
Because whether you're playing the victim or the oppressor, you're still manipulating people, and you're still manipulating the facts to get your agenda pushed forward.
Al Sharpton has been a proponent of that since the 80s.
It's the biggest piece of trash on the planet.
Yeah, literally, anytime anything happens to anyone that is a minority, no, that's black. Because if it's a Mexican, he doesn't give a shit.
You know I'm nonviolent anymore, but there's a short list of people I'd like to punch in the fucking face directly.
Yeah,
Al Sharpton would definitely be one.
Yeah, Al Sharpton definitely deserves it.
Freaking Hillary Clinton.
I couldn't. I couldn't.
I would punch her right in the face. I would.
It's a woman.
I can't stand
her.
Well,
I
she's
don't
a
like
woman.
her.
Yeah, I respect that she's a woman, but I still want to punch her in the freaking face.
Yeah, but my whole thing is bad things have always happened.
Yeah.
But because of the internet and how quickly information moves, now everyone finds out about it more. You know, even the people are like, oh, well, there's more hurricanes and there's more tornadoes than at any time in history. So global warming, it's like, listen, tornadoes always happened. It's just, we might not have known about it in Pennsylvania, but they definitely knew about it in Kansas.
Yeah.
They were feeling it all the fucking time.
Yeah.
We just didn't get that news. We didn't get that information.
Dude, I remember being out in Missouri years ago, and that was like the thing. Volunteer fire companies there.
Mm-hmm.
track that shit.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and I remember I linked up with them, and I went to 3 different tornadoes in the short span of time that I was there.
Yeah.
So that's been happening forever and a day.
Yep. Or they say like, oh well, California got snow this year, and
Yeah.
like normally they don't. Blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, well, how about every fucking summer when they have a drought for
Yeah.
like the last 40 years?
Yeah, be thankful.
That
be thankful
hasn't
for
changed.
be thankful for the fucking the freaking
Precipitation that you get, yeah.
that you get.
Yeah.
But see, that only feeds into my whole planet tilt theory, is which I've been telling people forever and a day. When I take a quarter and I first spin it on a table,
How it slowly.
it stays tight at first, but when it starts to slow down, it develops a wobble.
See,
So my theory is that the real cause
is our
of
Earth
everything
is,
that's going
our
on
access is slowly.
is our axis is slowly slowing down, and
Yeah.
of course we're going to start seeing different changes and that's what they'll tell you too. It's not climate, it's weather. That's what you're not getting. No, I get it, man, and
Yeah.
I'm telling you why it's happening. The planet is wobbling, and it's right now. It's probably in the middle of a wobble in one certain direction. And that's why you're now getting snow in California, and we haven't gotten any real snow here in PA.
I know this sounds odd.
I was outside the other day in like shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah, no, I mean,
And I
we've
was
had
comfortable.
decent weather up here.
Yeah.
It's weird because I worked at John's for 4.5 years as a pizza guy. You know where the pizza station is.
Yeah.
You got the solarium right there with the arcade.
Yeah.
When I first started working there, the sun used to beat down when it would set right in my face looking this way.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to you, by the end of 4.5 years, when the sun would set, it would be more over here. It wasn't as bad. And I've said it before, like, this has to be the Earth. Like, there's no way that the Earth, for the last at least 400 years,
It's
has
been on a tight rotation.
the same. Yes,
Yeah.
it takes 365 days to go around the sun,
Mm-hmm.
but for it to not move at all in the slightest to change things.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we've only been tracking that stuff since we could actually go up into space, the 50s? So it's only been about 70 years.
Mhm.
If the Earth is moving so slow that, say, it takes 150 years to change the axis 1 degree,
Yeah.
we still wouldn't know about that right now because we're
Right.
only halfway, knowledgeable.
Yeah.
It's so weird, dude.
And that's been my theory forever, and I've been telling people about it all the time.
Yeah.
What should we call that? Wobble theory?
Yeah.
Chuck Davis's wobble theory. That is what's causing your fucked up weather.
Lester says inflation is how the government bleeds the poor, and the poor, because of our educational system, doesn't understand that this is how the government lowers their debt and increases their revenue.
Yep.
We pay more for food, and they gather more sales tax.
Yep.
Fat people are throwing off the balance. I'm going on a diet. Here's the thing, though. Do you remember when poor people used to be skinny?
Yeah.
And now a majority of people who are poor are overweight and obese.
All right, now let's break that down for several different causes, I believe. The first cause I'm going to talk about is the hormones and the steroids in the food chain.
See, I was going to say the first thing would be price.
The second thing I'm going to talk about is processed foods
Yeah.
and the ability of that to be the main ingredients to be just shit and sugars and,
Mhm.
and carbohydrates, but sold at a cheap price
Corn
because
syrup
because it's mass produced,
Right.
right? And then I'm going to talk about laziness. It's those 3 factors right there
See, I
that
think
are blowing up the population.
I think price, though, it's weird. How the fuck can you go to McDonald's and get a cheeseburger for $1.50,
Yeah.
and you go to the grocery store and you get a stalk of broccoli,
Yeah.
just like one stalk of broccoli, and it's like $3.
Yeah.
It's like that broccoli. You got to add some chicken, a little bit of rice, maybe a little bit of cheese. You know what? You got to
Yeah.
do shit to that to make it a meal.
Yeah.
But you can go and get a already ready to go fucking cheeseburger
Yeah.
for half the cost. How is that even possible? How
Because-
is it that
because
this
I'm
bottle of water
Yeah.
is the same price as a 20-ounce bottle of soda?
For the same reason on how those companies produce that type of meat. So in the factories, when they grind up all that meat, they'll grind up some bone, they'll grind up some fat, they'll grind up everything, then they'll mix blood in with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you get so much blood in the package.
Mm-hmm.
When you have like a hamburger
Yeah, you
packet
get
or something
beef
like
or
that,
steak or-
yeah,
Yep.
because they're mass producing it and they're adding the blood back in to give it the red color. Because normally the meat wouldn't be exactly that color.
Well,
red.
it would change. Yeah, it would
It's
change
gonna
from
change.
from the time it's cut to the
Yeah.
time it gets to you. Yeah.
But that's what those companies will do is they will throw the blood back into the vat to turn the color, because
Right.
the fat and everything is in there. So if I'm a multi-trillion-dollar corporation and I go to buy a herd of cows, as opposed to I'm Chuck Davis and I'm going to buy a herd of cows, that multi-trillion-dollar corporation is going to get that herd of cows a lot cheaper than I am.
Well,
They're going to know that they're going to get their money, and they're going to sign a contract, and they're going to say, okay, you produce this many cows for me all the time at this price,
that's
and
it.
I'm guaranteed to buy them every single time.
It's a long-term thing.
They don't know that they're going to get that from me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
you don't
they
have the
would-
reputation that they have, or the
Yeah.
banking, or the
Exactly.
Right.
So they would rather go for bottom line stability on their expenses and
Their
the
overall
credits.
costs. Yeah.
than to deal with somebody like me who, okay, maybe I'm gonna buy this month, maybe I'm not.
Right.
And evidence of that is when everything was going on with the pandemic, one of my girlfriend's suppliers for her store was like, yeah, we're not going to take small orders anymore. We're only going to deal with the large people.
Well, this is what happened with Cisco.
So that's what they did. They only
Yep.
dealt with the large people. Now, all of a sudden, the large people got everything that they need. They have a surplus. They're telling that guy, we don't need anything. So now what is that guy doing? He's reaching back out to
Yep.
people like her, talking about, is there anything that you need, or is there anything you want? And she told me, she says, you know what, honestly, she's like, I'll never deal with that fucking guy again.
Cisco did the same thing at John's. They stopped showing up in like October
Yeah.
because it was harder for them to get. You had all the boats that were out in the ocean waiting to come in, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And Cisco's the biggest food distributor in the world.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we got to take care of our hospitals, our
Yeah.
prisons, and our schools
Yeah.
first. Because
Yeah.
they are our biggest money accounts.
Yep.
And then restaurants will come next. And then when it comes to restaurants, then we have our chains.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you'll have the independently owned restaurants.
Yeah.
So those were the first ones they cut off. So, Pete was like, oh, fuck them. I don't like them anyways. They're too fucking expensive.
Yeah.
So there's the reason I don't have to deal with them anymore, But,
Well, because you could save money if you go do the shopping yourself. It's just
oh, yeah.
a lot of times it's hard for a business. But see, Pete's the restaurant, John's, is actually probably the perfect size that he could find somebody to do the shopping and still maintain the restaurant.
But
When
you
you're doing
didn't
it
even-
by yourself, it's tough.
Well, all right, so that van that they got, they didn't pay much money for anyways. That thing's been paid off 1,000 times now. Because they'll go to Restaurant Depot
Yeah.
in Wilkes-Barre like twice a week. It's like a 45-minute drive. They spend an hour and a half there, 45-minute back. They do it twice a week. And they're saving roughly $1,500 a week on their food bill by doing that.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Restaurant Depot doesn't have truck drivers. They don't have insurance.
Yeah.
So they don't have to worry about adding that price to the food.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
a lot of food companies are feeling the heat from these big box stores, basically,
Yeah.
that are able to offer that.
And you know what I say to people like Cisco and shit like that?
Fuck 'em.
Fuck you.
Yep.
You're the asshole. And like, I don't. When I first opened my diner up down in West Side, I got an order from Cisco.
Yeah.
And a quarter of the shit that I got was fucking destroyed and ruined.
Yeah.
And I said something about it. It takes them forever to freaking get you back. A lot
Get
of
you
times,
a credit.
yeah,
or-
9 times out of 10, they're like, we'll give you a credit on the next order. Okay, well, in the meantime, I don't have a freaking thing of lettuce.
Yeah.
So I got to go shopping anyway for more shit.
Oh, produce is the worst with
Do you,
Cisco.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you gotta deal with local companies. for
So
that shit.
so you never had, you know what I mean? You never get ahead with them.
But why do you think people say that, oh, hospital food's terrible, oh, food in jail's awful, oh, high school cafeteria food's gross? Because they don't really get fresh produce. They get everything in cans.
Yeah.
Everything's frozen. And, you're not getting fresh anything.
No.
But it's because, they don't have to worry about dealing with a local company. Everything
Yeah.
comes from Cisco.
Yep.
That shit was probably canned 10 months ago. It's been sitting there. He
Yeah.
said, our food is not safe for animals. Think about that.
Yeah, he's
well,
right.
There's a lot of things animals shouldn't be eating that we eat. Like, you know what's weird? Like, cat food, canned cat food, actually has to be human safe. because old people have a tendency to eat cat food because it's cheap.
This fucking pisses me off.
Yeah, dude. There's an actual law
it's
that cat food has to be edible for human consumption, but not dog food. Cat food.
But see, that disgusts me, man.
Oh, it's gross.
Because this is where we're going as a nation, right? So
Allow the
they'll
people to
charge
eat cat
us
food.
40% fucking tax to take care of these fucking younger people that don't want to fucking do a goddamn thing.
Yep.
Lazy pieces of fucking shit. If this was Sparta, we'd have thrown them off the fucking cliff years ago.
The age of entitlement.
And then we get these old folks work their whole fucking life.
And they gotta eat cat food because they're so
They gotta eat cat food.
$600.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because they gotta make a choice between medications and staying alive or fucking eating.
Yep.
And this is the worst part of it. That's bad enough. But then you go to the young person and tell them about that or ask them about that, and they're like, I don't fucking care. Doesn't affect me.
But then they're also the ones who want universal health care so everyone can get,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's like, but you know it'd be your money going towards that, right?
Yeah.
You understand that, like, you want universal health care. You want free college.
Yeah.
You understand that it would be your money coming out of that.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, what money? I don't work. I've been getting unemployment for the last year and a half, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, damned if you do and damned if you don't, dude.
You can't live with people.
You get you get punished for working hard.
You do.
You gotta pay more,
Yeah.
and you end up with less.
Yeah.
And then after all those years of working hard, the government still tries to fuck you by
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people talk shit about unions, dude. Listen, man, fucking unions, they'll set you up for the rest of your life. You work hard for the union, you take care of them, they take care of you.
Yeah.
All right, my uncle, my dad's twin brother, he was
But they do have a political agenda.
They
do take care of their members.
Right. But that's the main thing. If they tell you they're going to take care of you, they take care of you.
Yeah.
My uncle was in the union for, from like 76, 77 up until he retired. He was in the union 44 years or so. My uncle makes more money now sitting at home retired than he did when he worked. He gets a check between his Social Security from the government and his pension, like union shit. He gets $6,000 a month. My uncle gets $72,000 a year, and he sits home and does nothing. And it drives him nuts.
See, that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
But then, see, I'm not going to do the sit-at-home thing, though, because that'll kill you. But I just want, like, a small, functioning farm, even if it's only for sustenance.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I want to play with that. I can't afford to do that right now. Right now, I got to work.
Yeah, you have to work, but it's okay because you're young enough that you can work.
Yeah. But
You
once
know,
everything is in place,
Yeah.
you know, and I can do that, oh, it'll be the life.
You gotta get it in while you can.
Yeah.
So the schedule is going to be a little odd for the next few weeks while we're still getting into things. We are going to be going live Sundays, and it'll probably be earlier in the day. We're in the middle of coming up on winter, and up here it snows more than where it is where I mean, it still snows where I live.
Yeah.
Hazleton gets snow. Williamsport isn't that bad, but if there's a Sunday where the weather is shitty, we're gonna have to go live record remotely, which would be, you know what I mean? Chuck would go live here, and either my video feed could be added, so we'd be like side by side, or it'd just be my audio of me calling in, and then Chuck would be here. We're figuring that out. The wintertime was always a weird time for doing this, only because of living up in the Poconos.
Yeah.
There's always that issue.
Because it's clear right now, but then again, you could end up with that 4 foot of snowstorm that I got last year. I couldn't leave the house for 3 days. I had to actually have a friend come out with a front loader
Yeah.
and dig the snow out of my driveway so I could get my car. It was literally over the roof of my car.
Jesus.
Couldn't see my car.
And like today, I think the high was like 51, and then tomorrow's high is like 28.
Yeah.
So like just in a matter of 24 hours, it can be like that.
That's
so,
how it is on the mountain.
Yeah. But again, living up here and being in a quiet area and
It's worth
safe.
it, man.
Yeah.
It's worth it. Because when people in those cities are trying to figure out how the fuck they're going to get out or how they're going to eat, unless they go down to freaking Central Park and start hunting squirrels.
pigeons.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I got like 6 deer walking through my front yard, you know?
I was telling my uncle that because like, no, Hazleton's only an hour away. Williamsport's only 2 hours away, but like they treat deer like they're such an elusive creature. They'll be driving at night, and in the field there's 2 deer, and they'll stop and they'll be like, "Oh, look at those deer." I'm like, dude, I was hand feeding deer nachos in my driveway 2 hours from here. It's a deer. Who fucking cares? You know what I mean?
Up here are like cockroaches.
Yeah,
But
seriously.
again, that stands very well when the world blows up.
Yeah.
When the global warming's
Oh yeah,
over.
when the deer start to trust you and get closer. You know what I mean?
Just fucking shank 'em.
Save your ammo. Yep. See, you just gotta
I got
gain
something-
their trust over the
I got
years.
something in my prison purse for you, dear.
Yep. You put your hand over your mouth like.
Go with it. Shh, just let it take you.
Your brother said, "Not me." A pellet gun. To get city squirrel. Hey man,
There you
those
go.
city squirrel, they're fucking huge.
Yeah.
Just make sure you don't get a rat.
Just take those paneling nails, man. Put those in the pellet gun.
Oh, dude, I watched the thing before we wrap up. There's a guy, Adam Ragoza, I think he's on YouTube, and he breaks down, like, he's a cook, but he breaks down, like, the history of things. Like, he did a video, he was like, what happened before refrigeration? He was like, my grandfather was an ice salesman.
Yeah.
And he would work in a factory, they produced ice, you would have these big 30, 40-pound blocks, and you would deliver ice to places like supermarkets and stuff like that.
Hence the old term icebox.
Yeah, that's
Came
where...
for the refrigerator. Yeah.
Yep, so...
They also used to too. A lot of houses would have like little hills behind them, and they would dig into those hills, dig down a little bit, and store the ice in there, and that would be the refrigerator.
Yep, and it would last quite a while, natural insulation.
Mm-hmm.
He did a video on pigeon, because the rest of the world... Alright, so, hey, did you know pigeons and doves are the same thing?
Actually, I always thought they were very closely related, but I did think they were different.
There's different kinds of pigeons. Like, there's one called rock pigeon,
Yeah.
and then there's another pigeon. There's, like, 3 main ones, but literally a dove is a pigeon.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did know that the carrier pigeon was pretty much gone extinct because the particular breed that they used for that, because that's what we used them for. World War II,
Yeah.
Civil War.
And then the rest of the world eats pigeon like we eat turkey or chicken. Like
Yeah.
everyone else in the rest of the world eats the
Well,
shit out of pigeon.
pigeon's a big thing in France, isn't it?
Huge.
Yeah.
It's a delicacy. Just like Cornish game hens and stuff like that. You know
I
what
like
I
the
mean?
Cornish game.
Never had it.
You never had it?
No.
I like it.
I've seen one come out of a can. It was weird.
I would not eat that.
Yeah, it was like, you know, I mean,
Poultry out of a can? How
yeah,
much
a
would you
whole. It
trust
was a
that?
whole bird. It was a whole bird. It like literally just fit right out of a can. It was weird.
With that jelly?
Yeah, the
stuck to
jelly,
it?
the
Oh,
weird So if you're in the city, out here you can buy pigeon from Amish. Oh, dude,
Yeah.
there's tons of Amish in Williamsport, or outside, like all the little towns around Williamsport. And I had no idea. I thought they were all down south.
Yeah.
Dude, massive population in like north central Pennsylvania.
Wow, you're eating good then if you look around.
Oh yeah,
all kind of good shit that
Oh,
you can
dude,
pick up.
shoe fly pie and molasses
Canned
pie.
goods and
Yeah.
shit like that. Did you ever go to one of their
Well, it's the winter time.
Russian served restaurants?
It's the winter time right now, so a
Yeah.
lot of them aren't getting into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But there are a few. They're not restaurants. They're like a general store, but they have a kitchen. They prepare
Yeah.
food. And I've had some of their food there, and yeah, they're great, dude. Fucking everything, and they cook with lard. Like they don't use like vegetable oil or nothing like that. You know
use
what I
all
mean?
the good shit.
Yeah, and they're good workers,
They're
man.
saving the bacon grease.
Yeah, fucking like 5-gallon buckets of bacon grease just swinging around.
grease?
Yeah. But
I love it.
oh, so anyway, yeah. If you guys, if the end of the world does come, you see pigeons, like fucking go for it, dude.
Eat that shit.
Yeah, yeah. So for the schedule, it's looking like Sundays. It's gonna be probably mornings. We start a little bit later today, but it'll probably be like between like 11 and noon start time. And if weather's permitting, we'll try to say something beforehand. Like if we're looking at it, the forecast, like okay, so it's gonna be shitty Saturday night into Sunday, and then we'll figure something out for then.
Yeah.
But
But also too, don't ever kill yourself getting here. If it's bad, don't worry about it.
yeah, no,
We'll
I
figure it
mean,
out.
we'll always be able to put out something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This year's gonna be weird, man. This year is going to be
A lot
weird.
of changes this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, Happy New Year, by the way.
Yeah, Happy
So,
New Year. I mean,
It's still a better year than what we had last year.
that's what I'm hoping for.
Last year, you go fuck itself.
Yeah, I mean, even the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Victory Gardens, next episode.
Victory Gardens, next episode.
What's Victory
Victory
Gardens?
Gardens. Oh. Yeah, World War II. Victory Gardens, like what people used to During World War II, they
Yeah,
they encouraged people to get little gardens going. My grandmother still did that.
Yeah.
When we lived in West Side, I remember she had a little garden down in the back.
Yeah.
And she had a rhubarb patch.
Yeah.
Which is very English.
Yeah.
They had rhubarb out the ass in World War II. He said Google it, so maybe we'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I'd like to look into it a little more. I'd like to see what is the easiest things to plant for people who are not very green thumb, if you will.
Corn grows like a mother.
Yeah, peppers. I heard peppers and tomatoes were like two things that like you can like not fuck them up. You plant them and then like just make sure that they're not dry.
Yeah.
We should get a garden going when it comes like the truly random garden. But we should try growing the weirdest, like, even like tropical shit. Like, try making like a coconut tree or something.
I could grow those in my house.
A coconut tree?
If I had grow lights and everything.
Oh, well, yeah.
I keep telling everybody, man, send me seeds for whatever, I can make it grow.
Yeah.
I can sprout it.
What would be some
babysitting it, it's up to you. I got 2 birds of paradise out there. I got a lemon tree.
Lemon would be cool. What about kiwi? Like, that's Australia. Like, that doesn't grow in America, does it?
That grows on a vine, doesn't it?
I don't know.
It's like a viney thing. I wonder if I could do that.
If you guys have any ideas for what we should plant come like April, right? And we'll get a little patch of garden outside, and we'll try to plant it. And then like maybe like September, October, we'll try to make a meal with just whatever grows in there.
Send all your seeds to 49 Beacon Path, Gooseboro, PA.
Yeah, we gotta get a P.O. box so we're not telling everyone your address.
What are they gonna do? They're gonna come here? I got a gun. I will fuck you up.
I mean,
I'm a Buddhist, but if you try to break in,
I wouldn't want no one sending me bags of poop.
Bag of poop.
I mean? You could do that.
What if the bags of poop though? What if the poop has seeds in it?
Yeah, but how would you know? You have to go sifting through it.
Just
like if there's a note, it's like there may or may not be seeds in this poop. Have fun.
That's probably how we first. That's probably we originally discovered farming. You know what I mean? Bunch of Paleolithic people out there. And they dig like a ditch, and like, you're just like,
oh, their poop. Oh. Hey, what? Hey, what about the whiskey? Did you like it?
Yeah, Beth tried it. She found it fantastic. She loves it a lot. I didn't get the samples to my brother Rick yet.
What whiskey was it?
This was the moonshine that was coming out of Missouri.
Oh, okay.
That I got a hold of.
Okay.
I can't talk about the connections.
Yeah. Dude, fucking moonshine's some weird shit now, man. I got people...
You could run your car off of this stuff.
That's moonshine.
Yeah.
There was a customer that we dealt with. We delivered this table. Fucking like 16 or 18 foot long table. One solid slab of wood, which is impressive. But
it's gonna hold up though.
When you have a table that long and you have a leg on this end and a leg on this end, the weight of it eventually will cause a dip. Yeah. So we had to go and put a leg in the middle. No big deal. And the owner of this house, which by the way is like a massive like Montana Big Sky $2 million home, gave my brother moonshine for Christmas. Like, oh, this is the apple pie moonshine. It tastes just like apple pie. And get in the car and my brother, he takes a swig. And he's like, I thought moonshine was supposed to be like powerful and like disgusting almost. And I was like, dude, this is like limoncello. Like it's grain alcohol.
Yeah.
And then you fucking water it down with water and then now it's like 40% alcohol.
Yeah.
That's not moonshine.
No.
That's just homemade liquor.
No.
You know what I mean? It's not even homemade because you're just going and buying grain and adding ingredients to it and watering it down.
Moonshine is what my connection is making, which I don't know if you want to
talk
about it.
Straight up distilled.
Where you're like taking corn and you're like boiling it down, you're making mash.
Corn mash.
Yeah, that's freaking moonshine.
Yeah, that's the strong
stuff.
I
added a little bit of flavor to this.
That's the stuff you get like put in a spray bottle, hit your lawnmower engine when it's having trouble heating up. You know what I mean? Fire shoots out the side. Hey, then you're burning weeds and cutting grass. You know what I mean?
All at the same time.
Yeah. Can't put it in this; it'd eat right through it. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, that's especially that recycled plastic. Forget about it.
Oh yeah. But yeah, other than that, well,
that'd be like handing a chainsaw to a guy in skinny jeans.
Yeah.
It's just gonna fall apart.
You'd be surprised at some of the people that walk into the showroom.
Yeah.
Looking for these are beautiful tables. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got natural log leg. Did you buy these?
These came from Beth's shop.
Okay,
She
yes.
got these for me.
So these are nice end tables, right?
Oh my god, they're sturdy as shit.
Yeah.
I love this one because of the different
well,
colors in the wood.
So like this is considered live edge.
Mhm.
Although it is squared out evenly, which is good because some people like the uniform, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these are branches or logs or whatever. And you can see it's glue up, so they get the pieces of wood and they put them together and
Yep.
they do all this. We get people who come in the showroom and they will be wearing their skinny jeans and their leather zip-up boots up to here and their ironic flannel. Like, this is real flannel. This is woodsman flannel.
Yeah.
And they wear, like, their, like, $800 New York flannel.
With the pink in it.
Well, you can always tell a fake flannel.
With the fuchsia.
Yeah, it has, like, triple stitching.
He
and
says
shit
as he
like-
wears a purple shirt.
Yeah, but that's a dress shirt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a little different, you know. And they'll come in and they'll be like, it's weird, man. We don't, I hate to say it, we are outdoorsmen and we do outdoorsman things, but 80% of our clientele are not outdoors people.
Well-
they love the outdoors,
Oh yeah.
but they couldn't do it.
Well, they come to buy it from you because they know they couldn't do it themselves.
Yeah.
And isn't that any kind of
And you know what, though?
merchandising?
And for the most part, that's great because we do great work and stuff like that. But you would not think.
Peace lilies are pretty resilient. Yeah. We were talking about growing stuff and stuff like that. So like, okay, so the girlfriend finally gets home
Can you eat
and she gets
peace lilies?
and she gets on live, and she says peace lilies are pretty resilient. And that's
Yeah.
because she left them out in the frost when I told her not to. I told her all summer long, I'm like, get these plants inside. Get the ones at your mom's house. To your mom's. She left them outside. They got a frost, but they're coming back.
But they survived.
Huh?
They survived.
They survived. Yeah.
Can you eat them though?
No, you can't.
Yeah. See, we're talking about planting things that we can eat.
That we can eat. Yeah.
I mean, we could try. I'm sure it's edible,
Yeah.
but there are edible flowers.
Oh yeah.
We
You can
should.
eat- You can eat pumpkin flowers. You pluck the flower off a pumpkin and dip it in a little bit of pancake batter, thinned out pancake batter, and deep fry it. Put some powdered sugar on it. It's good shit.
Let me just real quick. I just want to see. Of course, I type in edible flowers on Google and fucking edible arrangement pops up. That's not what
Yeah.
I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Freeze dried edible flowers. Pansies.
You can eat pansies.
That's yeah. Pansies and orchids.
Orchids. You can eat orchids. See, I would have thought no with an orchid because it's kind of exotic. I would have figured it was poisonous.
Rose petal wine. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no. Me and my brother, we made a wine out of rose petals.
Really?
Tea.
What is
and
it
it was one of
ferment?
the best, huh?
Does it ferment?
Oh yeah, we can ferment anything. I can ferment anything.
It's
You
like a
could-
jailhouse.
Yeah, you can always push fermentation. It's just you just gotta have enough sugar for the enzymes to feed off of.
and yeast and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
because basically all you're trying to do is create piss and shit on a
Yeah.
microbiological level.
Yeah, basically.
So that's basically all you're drinking when you drink alcohol is the piss and shit of microorganisms. So you can push anything to ferment with enough sugar and yeast. That's why they do it in the prisons. You know, and they throw it in the toilet,
Well,
the
they-
Kool-Aid, and they throw their bread in there to
Well,
try to
the
extract
bread
the yeast out of the bread.
And they get a bunch of fruit. Like
Yeah.
you'll see them apples and oranges. They try to sneak in from the yard and
Yeah.
put the peels in and do all
Yeah.
that. Yep. What do they call that? What's it called in jail when you make that? It's Oh, if anyone else remembers and they say it, I don't know what it is. Oh.
Someone's gonna spit it out any second.
They don't call it shine, but it has like this real weird name, and I've heard it so many times because
It's like hooch.
no,
No,
not
not
hooch,
hooch.
but it's close to hooch. Not poon. Hold on.
Poon.
I know. It's something like that though. Watch prison.
It's a good thing Beth wasn't watching earlier, right?
Pruno.
Pruno. That's the name of it?
They call it
They
Pruno.
put such a feminine name on something they make in prison?
Oh, they're probably trying to sell it. You know what I mean?
That'll be the
Actually-
next... Whatever. That'll be the next thing. Somebody will market some shit like that. And
Look,
be
they
like,
have the prison
"Get you a
wine
bottle
company.
of oh my god. See,
They're
there
already,
you go.
Yeah, they're already selling it.
Never mind.
She said fake live edge. Well, it's still a nice live edge. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yes.
We'll let you guys know a time, but just on a Sunday between like 11 and noon. Just be ready for that area.
And please like and share, as always. And again, we apologize, but like we said, there was a lot of chaos over the holidays, and between the personal losses, the chaos of the holidays, you moving, taking a new job, there's just way too much going on. So, like I said, we had to put the show aside for a minute. I actually had to cancel a couple personal engagements, and but now hopefully we'll get back into it.
Yeah, the swing of things. Hopefully we'll start to. It's still weird having weekends off, but I'll get used to it. So, all right, guys.
My brother.
Oh, and then also go to YouTube. If you ever want to rewatch any of this stuff or you missed out and you don't want to watch it on Facebook, just go to our YouTube page and check out the videos there. Same length, same content, all that.
And please, in honor of the holidays, I hate to sound like a beggar, but not only like and share the show, but if you could like and share the show and ask your friends to like and share it, even if you get like one or two friends to like and share it, and they do it, and they do it, and they do it, then maybe we can finally get this thing up and running and
push the shit out of it.
Because I can only imagine how we're going to be when we have an actual budget.
It's kind of be weird, because if they could, we'd be out of it. It's gonna be weird because I've already watched a few smaller channels that got big.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them quit because they said that like it's too much to deal with. I guess there's more haters out there.
Yeah.
Which is like, I've always been alright with criticism. You know what I mean? But you do it for fun. And if anything comes of it, then it is what it is. Yeah. But if you're not having fun doing it, then you shouldn't do it in the first place. You know what I mean?
And I think that's the reason why we're not, like, I mean, we could dump money in this tomorrow.
Yeah.
We could. But then it's not going to be genuine. I would rather, and you said you would rather too, it to be a genuine flow,
naturally grown audience.
But I think that still relies a little bit on the audience to participate and push that forward.
Yeah, well, that the audience itself like that. Like my dad always said, word of mouth is the best advertisement you'll ever get.
Yeah,
and you don't have to pay anything for it. So,
dandelions. Yeah, my grandmother used to make
dandelion tea.
She'd like you'd go catch some trout. You'd take some trout to my grandmother's house. She'd have dandelions, and she would take the dandelions and she would cook them in like a bacon grease and vinegar with bits of bacon and onion. Holy shit! It was like one of the best things ever.
Are dandelions the little yellow ones?
Yeah, but you take the leaves before they flower.
Oh,
take the leaves.
Yeah. Okay.
And you cook those up with onions. You cook them in bacon grease. You put
bacon and onion on anything that's delicious. You know what I mean?
But it was just one of those things.
Like,
I can't find it.
Bacon jelly with like the onion and the vinegar and bacon, like bacon jam maybe it's called.
I could do some shit with that.
Yeah.
I'll figure out some cool shit to do with that. That might be good on like a haddock or something.
I had it on a burger. I had it on a cheeseburger, like a bacon jam spread.
Yeah,
it's fucking awesome. Oh. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, guys, we love you. Remember.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you get it?
Yep, I got it. See, yep. To end this video, yes. We'll remind you about OBS disconnected. Yep. That's that. And